He is responsible for ensuring that KSC capabilities will support NASA's programs, potential commercial customers, and other government users. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scott Colorado.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, I had to acknowledge the DJ. Thanks for helping out. We wanted to acknowledge my boss, who's back in his office right now watching this, heavy in some meetings, but we did want to acknowledge the fact that he is from Alabama. Didn't want to come out and do this today. He was tied up or couldn't come out, but I'm glad to fill in for him. I am a Tennessee Volunteer. Any Vol fans out there? All right, a few of them. Good job. Go Vols. Thank you. Glad you made it out today, and I'll tell you a little bit about what our program is doing. I am with the Ground Systems Development and Operations Program. It's a local program here at Kennedy, one of three at Kennedy Space Center. You've heard from, I think, all three of them today. Launch Services Program, the Commercial Crew Program, and now Ground Systems Development and Operations. And what we do primarily is tying back to what's behind me, that obviously is what everybody's here for today, is our job is to convert Kennedy Space Center from the Space Shuttle program, which you see is looks a lot like an aircraft. We call this a side mount configuration. It's a heavy lift vehicle, essentially goes to low Earth orbit or went to low Earth orbit. Our focus now is converting to an inline vehicle called the Space Launch System. It's comparable to the Saturn V. For those of you that know anything about our history, going to the moon and the Saturn V program, the Apollo program, was a huge event for NASA before the shuttle program. Now we're getting back to that, where we're going to go beyond low Earth orbit. With Shuttle out of business now, our plans to change Kennedy to support that are pretty big. The main thing that we're doing now is focusing on three basic capabilities: the rocket itself, the space launch system, the spacecraft, the human-rated spacecraft that's designed to go all the way to deep space, the Orion program, the multi-purpose crew vehicle, and then finally the ground system. And when you put those three together, you get a system to go virtually anywhere in the universe, or at least as far as practical. And our ultimate destination is Mars. Our administrator has announced that. We know that much. We ultimately want to go there. We know it's going to take a while, but we're focused on that, and we're focused on providing the capabilities to get there. The big question is, where do we go between now and Mars? We have multiple destinations we may go to. We may go back to the moon. We may go back to what's called cislunar space, L2 Lagrange points that are available to us. We may go to a near-Earth asteroid. We may go to Phobos, a moon around Mars. So there's lots of targets to get to Mars. Eventually we will be at Mars. The only question is how we get there. And so we're providing a big part of that here at Kennedy as part of our program, and we're well on our way. Some of the big things we're working on that I'd like to tell you about, Big Five we refer to them. If you saw the VAB during your visit here, the Vehicle Assembly Building, it's a big part of what we're doing as far as converting Kennedy from a shuttle-centric capability. Like I said, we're currently designed to support the orbiter you see behind me and all the elements that go with that. Our plan is to convert the VAB as one big element to change that from a shuttle capability for stacking and so forth, and able to launch the Space Launch System. We're also modifying the Crawler Transporter. If you've seen the Crawler Transporter, NASA's original rover, a lot bigger version than the one that's gotten all the press lately. But the Crawler Transporter is actually capable of lifting 12 million pounds to carry the shuttle stack to the pad. We're now modifying one of those two crawlers to carry up to 18 million pounds to carry their lot heavier rocket, which is the Space Launch System. So we have the VAB, the crawler, and then we get to the launch pad. It's Launch Pad 39B, which is one of two shuttle pads that exist today. We've converted that into what we call a clean pad, which is able to support virtually any rocket up to the size of Space Launch System, which will be the most powerful rocket in the world. So we don't have any concerns about not being able to handle any other rocket out there. We're also modifying one of our firing rooms at the Launch Control Center, where the firing room team, or the launch control team, conducts the launch. That's being converted to a multi-use firing room where virtually any rocket could be launched from that firing room. And finally, we have that's the big four. Oh, the fifth one, the big one, the mobile launcher. While on your stay here, if you get out by the VAB, you'll see a big tower north of the VAB, a big steel structure. Believe it or not, that's actually movable. It's a big steel platform with a tower that's over 300 feet tall, right around 350 feet. Weighs about 7 or 8 million pounds. Eventually will weigh around 10 or 11 million pounds. That's designed to actually support the rocket. It gets picked up by the crawler, taken from the VAB out to the launch pad. So we're really excited about that. We have 5 major elements. We're also doing some things here locally with the Orion program. The production of the Orion spacecraft and service module is going to be produced right here at Kennedy. In fact, the first launch for what's called EFT-1, Exploration Flight Test 1, which will fly on a Delta IV rocket, is going to be built right here. It's actually being built today at the O&C building just a couple of miles from here for that EFT-1 flight. So we're really excited about that as well. We have a 2014 flight for EFT-1, and then a couple of years after that, in 2017, 3 years later, we have EM-1, which is Exploration Mission 1, when we actually go to an uncrewed lunar flyby to go around the moon and back. So a big deal there as well. So I think that's all. The other thing I would like to highlight is the way we're approaching this is we realize that rockets evolve and change, and customers kind of tend to come and go to some extent. We are one of our own customers with the SLS program. We've also got a handful, I'd say almost probably half a dozen or so potential commercial users that have talked to us about coming here. And we're designing the system to be as flexible and evolvable as possible, so that when those customers materialize, whether it's Launchpad 39 or elsewhere, we'll be able to support them and handle their rocket and launch it out of here whenever they're ready. And we're also, just one final thing, tying back, and by the way, it's a lot of fun following about 5 astronauts when you're giving a talk. That is the most humbling experience you'll ever have, I'm telling you, because you think you've accomplished something in your life, and you go after astronauts, you realize, it's a little different. But I have won a golf tournament in my life. I started to bring a trophy with me, but my boss wouldn't let me do it. And it's been a while, so I guess it's probably not relevant. But tying back to Mr. Voss's, Sir Voss's presentation earlier, the X-Core vehicle is one of them that's interested in coming here to what's called the Shuttle landing facility. This vehicle, obviously, and all the shuttle orbiters landed at the Shuttle landing facility. And now it's kind of finished its mission, or has finished its mission. And our plan is to design that to convert it for horizontal launch and landing for multiple spacecraft. X-Core is one of them. There's several vehicles. The Sierra Nevada Dream Chaser vehicle you see over here is another one that would like to land over there potentially. There's actually 2 or 3 other programs that are interested in coming here, and we're dealing with those as well. So ultimately, over the next 4 or 5 years, when you come back to Kennedy Space Center, you'll see Space Launch System launching out of Launchpad 39B, the most powerful rocket in the world. And then you'll see a company potentially called Shuttle Launch. You can look them up. We'll have the biggest aircraft in the world, launching a rocket off the belly of an aircraft. So what we'd like to see is and what we plan to see is a handful of different missions coming out of Kennedy Space Center, including the most powerful rocket and the largest aircraft in the world. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Our next speaker, Mick Waltman, is a Senior Vehicle Systems Engineer for the Launch Services Program at KSC. He's also worked Atlas, Delta, Pegasus, and Taurus launch vehicles since 1999. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mick Waltman.
Appreciate it, Nick. Good afternoon. How are you guys this evening, or this afternoon? I want to first say it's a pleasure to be here with you on this historic occasion of Atlantis rollover. I was thinking about it before I got up here, and thinking of Atlantis, the 4,848 orbits that she made, the 126 million miles that she traveled, the number of astronauts that she carried, the missions that she carried out, and all the lives that she touched. It's just an amazing thing. As Scott said, following all these people and hearing the story, it's just thinking back. This magnificent machine is probably one of the reasons most of you are here today. I know it's one of the reasons I'm here. It projected me into my career and excited me for space exploration and to get me here. As you've heard from many folks today, building on that great space history, the shuttle program has taken mankind further in space and exploration than ever before. However, what I'm here to talk to you about is, as we move forward, we at the Launch Services Program, we continue to work on precursor missions to Mars and other planets using unmanned launch vehicles or expendable launch vehicles. You've heard some of that talked about today. We're going to be doing that to help make human exploration a little safer. We at You probably don't know this. We at LSP have been actually launching scientific missions for quite some time now. We are Earth's bridge to space. Capitalizing on our group's experience, we are looking to facilitate, reinvigorate America's space effort by broadening the use of unmanned launch vehicles. We're collaborating with our commercial launch partners. You heard from Ed Mango earlier. We're collaborating with commercial crew to continue human exploration using the expendable launch vehicles. One of the things I can say to you is, having been in the program since 1999, that LSP is one of the most exciting places to work, in my opinion. It really is. In our recent years, we've launched numerous NASA missions into Earth orbit to study our planet, our environment, weather. We've even sent stuff to distant cosmic destinations like Mercury, Jupiter, Pluto, and even one that you might have heard about recently, the Mars Science Lab, or better known as Curiosity. How many of you heard of that? Right? Yeah. Well, Curiosity's there on Mars. They're assessing, doing scientific studies to assess whether Mars is a viable environment to support life. That data will be used for future programs to examine whether Mars can be a possible human destination for exploration. Another one of our programs is the New Horizons mission. It's racing towards Pluto right now. After many years of work, successful launch in 2006, it will culminate in 2015 with the closest approach of a satellite to this distant planet and its moons. And then it'll continue on into the Kuiper Belt to do further studies of our universe for us. Another mission that we just launched a couple months ago, called the Radiation Belt Storm Probes, or the RBSP mission, was launched to study our ever-changing environment in greater detail. Building on, you know what, that was launched to build upon information that was gathered by James Van Allen and his team from the Explorer 1 spacecraft launched in 1958. So as you can see, we at LSP are very excited about our missions and what we do. As I said before, I believe LSP is one of the most exciting places to be working right now with our scientific missions. Besides our scientific missions, we do have opportunities in secondary payloads. One of our new ventures, CubeSats, or nanosatellites. CubeSats, they're about 4 inches squared. They weigh about 3 pounds, very small little satellite. These nanosatellites are an exciting venture for us at LSP and the NASA agency. They give us an opportunity to work with high schools and universities to inspire young minds into engineering and science, give them an opportunity to launch these things on a real rocket and get them into space and study space and exploration. So as I said before, you can see we're doing quite a lot of things. Here in LSP, our customer base is a diverse one. Not only do we launch missions for NASA, but we also work with the national security community. We work with NOAA on weather satellites. We work with communication satellites. We also work with some of our commercial launch providers, as many of you see here today. I'd encourage you to visit them. I'd also encourage you to visit our LSP booth later on if you get a chance to see some of the exciting things we're going to be doing in the next few months. We got a TDRS K mission coming up, LDCM mission coming up. We're launching stuff every month. It's like I said, an exciting place to be working. So I'll end with this as we get ready. I believe Atlantis is going to be rolling here shortly, and to her final destination. I'll just leave you with this, and hopefully you'll remember that, as you heard from many of the speakers this morning, that NASA is continuing to move forward into space and mankind's exploration of the unknown. We at LSP are continuing to reach for new destinations and learn more about our universe. But one of the really things I want you to walk away from here today, especially the youngsters, is this is a really cool place to be. Space is cool, and this is awesome to be part of this. So I'll leave you with this, or I'll leave Atlantis with this. We'll say thank you for all you've done. Thank you for being a part of our career, for inspiring us to explore the unknown. We look forward to your continuing journey at the Visitor Center as you inspire the next generation of space exploration pioneers and scientists. Thank you guys very much.